What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, Season 7, Episode 9, No Mas. Let's get into Johnny and Chloe. So Chloe has been living in Aruba for about a week, and her mom is already coming down there to see exactly, what's going on in Aruba. Johnny says that he has a good relationship with Chloe's mom because he's lived with them when he went to visit the United States. He stayed in Chloe's mother's house when he went up there to visit Chloe, and her mom has been to Aruba before when Chloe was visiting Johnny in Aruba. So he has a relationship with her. He says they get along fine, and so he's not really worried about Chloe's mom coming to visit them. Now, Chloe, on the other hand, is kind of stressed out about her mom being there because she knows that her mom is going to try to figure out ways to get her to come back to America. So, Chloe is like gearing herself up for battle and for defending her decision to stay and live in Aruba with Johnny. So this is going to be the very first time that the mom has actually seen Johnny's house. Even though she's been to Aruba before, this will be the first time that she actually sees Johnny's house because Chloe says before, I guess she tried to keep her mom away from Johnny's house, or the mom didn't want to stay at Johnny's house because the mom, she's used to certain amenities, right? She wants to have running hot water. She wants to have full AC. She wants, according to Chloe, she wants to have like the high thread count bed sheets, etc. Chloe tells us that her mom sees Johnny as a really nice guy. She likes Johnny and she thinks that Johnny's a nice guy, but she doesn't think that Johnny is really marrying material for her daughter. Like she really did never anticipated Chloe to like spend the rest of her life or to move her whole entire life to Aruba to live with Johnny. I guess her mom thought if you want to go on vacation and you want to have your little fling with him or with the island boys over there, I get it, I understand. But when it comes time to settle down, you're coming back to the United States and you're going to get with a lawyer or a guy in finance or something to that effect. Her mom never ever anticipated that this was going to be Chloe's life. Basically, the mom sees Johnny as someone who cannot afford or who cannot financially support her daughter. That Johnny's basically too poor for Chloe. That's how I see it. So they arrive at Johnny's house, they show her around, and the mom says that the house needs a lot of work. I don't know what she meant by that. In this, like, compared to what, like, in Aruba standards, it needs a lot of work, or in American standards, it needs a lot of work. Like, where do you, like, I didn't understand what she said because it seems like Johnny's house is fine. In fact, the first time that I ever saw Johnny's house, I was a little bit impressed that it was as nice as it was. It's not a mansion. It's not like, 3, 4, or 5,000 square feet house, but it is a decent house for him and Chloe to live in. So I don't know what she meant by the fact that it's going to need a lot of work. Does it need some touch ups here and there? Of course, like every house does. But to say that it needs a lot of work, I thought she was exaggerating. The mom also says that his house looks like a bachelor pad, or it gave bachelor pad vibes. I didn't understand what that meant either because Johnny is a man that lives alone. I don't know if she was expecting to see like curtain valances and bed skirts and doilies. Like, what was she expecting to see? What does she expect the house of a man living by himself who spends a lot of time on a party boat? Like, what was she expecting to see? So they talk about the shower situation. So they take her to the bathroom, they turn on the shower, and they tell her that they don't have running hot water. And a lot of houses in Aruba do not have running hot water. And if you do want running hot water, you have to pay extra for it. So the mom was absolutely flabbergasted by that. And she was like, oh, absolutely not. I cannot take cold showers. And Chloe tells her mom, well, the showers are not really that cold because the pipes are outside and the pipes get heated by the sun. So the water that runs through is actually not that cold. It's about 89 degrees. But the mom is like, no, this is absolutely barbaric. The mom tells us that Chloe is too spoiled for this type of life. But mom, you would be surprised what a person will do for love, what they would put up with, what they would give up for if they believe that they are really in love with somebody. And with all for all intents and purposes, it seems like Chloe is really into Johnny. And she probably thinks it's worth giving up all of the things that she's used to, all of the things that she's comfortable with in America to rough it out in Aruba with Johnny. And the reason why I say rough it out, I mean that sarcastically, because Chloe's mom makes it look like Chloe and Johnny living on this island and in this house, it's like similar to living in the middle of nowhere, like living in the middle of a desert or living in the middle of a jungle or on a mountain or something. Like they're so far away from civilization, no running water, no electricity. She makes it seem like, this is like the absolute worst that her daughter can possibly the type of living condition that her daughter can possibly be in. And this is a beautiful island. And I'm assuming like what hundreds of thousands of people live there. It's very high in tourism. So there's a lot of areas that accommodate Westerners. So I don't understand why her mom is like freaking out about Chloe living in Aruba. So the mom happens to see a bar of soap in the shower and she tells Chloe, "You're using bar soap now?" And they people use bar soap in America. Okay, that's like an international thing. You can go to any Walmart, Kroger, whatever. You're gonna see bars of soap. So even in highly civilized area, there are bars of soap. People use bar soap. But the way she said it to Chloe, "You're using bar soap now?" Like, what is wrong with bar soap? She made it seem like, she found out that Chloe is like rubbing sticks together to make fire to cook food. And Chloe was like, "Oh, don't worry. It's not mine. I have my own soap." So the mom, I guess, felt better about that. She was able to breathe again. The next day, they're on their way to a car dealership because they're talking about transportation. And Chloe says that she's living in Aruba now, so she's going to have a car. And her mom says, "Well, you don't have to live in Aruba. You do have a car back home." So she's already starting her propaganda to try to convince Chloe to come back to the United States. Johnny says they can get a decent car for about $2,000 to $3,000, but Johnny didn't say who's going to pay for this car. Did Johnny assume that her mom was going to pay for it? Did Chloe assume that her mom was going to pay for a $2,000 to $3,000 car? Well, it really doesn't matter because the mom says, "I'm very curious to see what a $3,000 car looks like." And once again, this is a sign of how bougie she is. Um, how have you not? You don't know what a a $3,000 used car might look like, mom? Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? They get to the dealership and Johnny actually drops them off. And I thought that Johnny was going to stay to help them negotiate a deal because, that stereotype that men can probably negotiate car deals better than women. But no, he dropped them off and he left. So the mom tells the car salesman that they want to look at the prior owned cars. And so the car salesman takes them to see cars that are like within the 20 to 30,000 US dollar range. And I think what kind of threw the car salesman off was because the mom, in her hoity-toity voice, said, "Oh, yes, we like to see your," she didn't say pre-owned. She said, "We like to see your prior owned cars." And in my opinion, like in my world, the way I see things, whenever you see these commercials for pre-owned cars, whenever they use the term pre-owned, that's like a term that is used for people that don't want to use the term used because used sounds cheap and pre-owned means that it's a higher end car that was gently used by the previous owner. And we're talking about Mercedes and BMWs and cars like that, those luxury cars that have been previously owned by somebody else and they're not like in really bad condition. So we use the term pre-owned, which is different from saying used car. Regular schmegular people who want like a cheap car, like a little Toyota, a little Nissan, Honda, whatever. We say used. Okay, where do you keep your used car? So if she would have told the car salesman, "Yeah, we're looking for a used car for my daughter," then the car salesman would have cut it short and would have been like, "No, we don't have those here," because when the car salesman showed them the more expensive cars, $20,000 to $30,000, um, Chloe's mom was like, "Well, where are the $5,000 cars?" And the car salesman says, "Yeah, we don't have those here." And the mom said, "What dealership does have them?" And the car salesman says, "You're not going to find a $5,000 car at a dealership in Aruba. You'll find those on the side of the street, for sale by owner.com. Yeah, go look on the internet, and there's people selling cars all the time. But those are the kind of cars that you'll find like on the side of the street." And so Chloe and her mom were like, "Yeah, we're not doing that." Okay. So Chloe and her mom have a very tense conversation outside, and the mom tells her that Chloe needs to come up with a plan because she's no longer going to be funding her lifestyle in Aruba. And Chloe says, "Yeah, I'm going to just rent a car." Now, Chloe had told us previously that she used to rent cars before when she was in Aruba, and she was paying like $600 a month to rent a car. So that was ridiculous. So she'd rather just buy a car. Now, if you were, okay, I have like a couple of questions. When she was paying $600 a month to rent a car, she was paying that, her mom was paying that, or was Johnny paying that? That's what I want to know. Also, if you have that kind of money, regardless of where it came from, if you have the kind of money to blow on renting a car, $600 a month just to rent a car, then why don't you have enough money to buy a $5,000 car in Bermuda? I don't know. I don't get it. So her mom tells her, "I'm not going to be funding your lifestyle anymore." She says that ever since Chloe has been in Aruba, she's given her a minimum of $20,000. Now, Chloe's only been there a week. So I don't know if the mother meant within a week she's given her $20,000, or in total, with all the trips that Chloe has taken to Aruba, her mom has spent around $20,000. Either way, that's a whole lot of money that she's been giving to Chloe for her just to play house with her pirate boyfriend. So Chloe is very defensive with her mother, and she's like, "Well, I'm not asking you for this, and I'm not asking you for that, and I didn't ask for this," making it seem as if I'm not assuming that you're going to take care of me. And Chloe even told us that when it comes to her mother will offer money and offer her things, that she doesn't ask her mom for anything. And I think even though she says, "I don't ask my mom for anything," I think Chloe gives out hints, and her mom picks up on them, and then her mom offers. And I think that when Chloe gives a hint, she's expecting her mom to give. Like when they were riding to the dealership, and Johnny was the one that mentioned that she could actually get around just fine on a what did he call it, on a motorbike or electric bike or something. And Chloe was like, "Oh no, I can't do that. I need a car. I'm gonna have to have a car down here." So she was probably like giving a hint to her mom and expecting her mom to be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, when we go to the dealership, we'll see what we can get for you." But her mom says she's sick and tired of it, and she's not going to be doing that anymore, and that she's cutting her off. Now, it seems like to me that her mom is using money to control Chloe, and she's thinking that if I cut her off, Chloe's going to come running back home. But we'll see, because I don't know if her mom understands the power of love. I don't know if her mom is used to just being with men because they were rich and wealthy, so she doesn't understand what it's like to be in love because she's with men that maybe for money. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm just trying to understand why her mom doesn't understand why Chloe would be willing to live in Aruba with Johnny. It's because she's in love with Johnny. She really wants to be with him. And if her mom would understand that, then she would understand why her daughter is there. But if her mom doesn't get it, it makes me think that her mom probably was never in love like that. And maybe her mom is used to having relationships that are transactional and just based on finances and money and what a man can do for you. I don't know. Moving on to Mano and Anthony. So we are still at this family dinner, y'all. We are still here. So Mano tells us that she has an aunt that's at the dinner. She has an aunt that she hasn't really talked to in like 10 years or so. And it's because her and her aunt have been beefing. And it stems from something that was told to Mano's aunt. Somebody told, and Chloe, I'm not Chloe, Mano stresses that it wasn't a family member, but somebody who was a non-family member told her aunt that Mano was going around talking crap about her family. And so ever since then, the aunt has really like gone, like given Mano the cold shoulder. They haven't really talked or gotten along. So Mano wants to make amends with this aunt. So she goes to sit next to her. They're having a conversation. They're talking about what happened in the past. Mano is letting her know that, I just want to let everything go and start fresh. And the aunt was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." Very unenthusiastically, okay? I don't know if this is just the aunt's demeanor to have this deadpan expression, or if Mano has this effect on her. I don't know, because the aunt was like, "Yeah, okay, we can whatever, let bygones be bygones." Like she was very unenthusiastic about it, but she did tell Mano, "Yes, we can go ahead and put the past behind us, and we can move forward." So I believe that Mano probably was talking crap about her family. I think she was, because we have seen Mano being accused of talking crap about her own husband. Remember that scene at her and Anthony's house in LA when Anthony's family came over and Anthony's twin sister said, well, Mano, you've been talking a lot of crap about Anthony, saying that you're not happy with him, that you want to divorce him, and Mano denied it. And then Mano talks crap about about her parents, how they fat shamed her, and the parents denied that as well. So we have seen a pattern of Mano. Everybody complains about Mano, but Mano supposedly is so innocent and she doesn't understand why people are, saying these things about her. But everybody is. You have two families on two separate continents, both saying that Mano has been talking crap about them or about their family members. But somehow Mano wants us to believe that it's not her. She's not the problem. It's everybody else. She's the black sheep. She's the victim in all of this. Anywho, so like I said, the aunt was like, okay, fine, girl, whatever, get out of my face. So later on, Mano is outside with her parents. They're like in a very heated conversation. And Mano tells us that her sister, when her sister saw Mano talking to her aunt, her sister made a comment to their parents saying something like, oh, I think Mano is causing drama. Now, the sister told us in her own confessional that she thought something was going to pop off when she saw Mano go and sit down next to that aunt. The sister was like, oh, it's going to be sparks. It's going to be an explosion. It's going to be drama because that's just how Mano is. So that's what she expressed to her parents. She was anticipating for things to go completely left when Mano went to go talk to their aunt. So instead of the parents addressing the sister, they addressed Mano. And Mano was like, I didn't even do anything wrong. Like, why are you coming to me with this? It was my sister who said this. I didn't do anything wrong. And so Mano was trying to defend herself against her sister's allegations. And her parents are basically like, but Mano, this is your pattern. Drama follows you everywhere you go. This is your pattern. And Mano was very upset. She talks again about being the black sheep and being misunderstood. And she says that she's ready to pack up and go back home to the United States because she says, I have no family. I don't want to be around these people anymore. And I just want to get the hell out of here. Mano to me seems like she is the troublemaker, that she is a problem. Her own husband has issues with her parents, her in laws. Like, girl, come on. Moving on to Madeline and Luke. So after their fight about the stripper, because remember, Luke confessed to Madeline that he had a bachelor party before he left for Colombia and the stripper was all over him, but he didn't touch her. So after they fought about that, because Madeline was really pissed off, she sees this as cheating and him being unfaithful. After that, they haven't really talked, but she agrees to meet with him at the park. Madeline tells us that the wedding is still canceled, but she has to be civil with Luke because they have a lot of businesses together. That's what she said. A lot of businesses together. So she has to still be civil with him. Now, the businesses that she did mention were the salon and the fact that they both, I'm assuming, have invested money in this hotel. So they talk about this property, which I'm assuming is the hotel property, or the property that the hotel is going to be built on or whatever. I think they're talking about this hotel that has yet to be built, but they've both invested in it or whatever. I don't know. So when they meet up at the park, Luke apologizes yet again. Madeline is not moved. She tells him the wedding is still off and now I'm single. And she holds up her hand to show that she's no longer wearing the engagement ring. So Luke is begging and pleading for her to give him a chance. And then she's like, well, let's talk about something else. So she wants to talk about the businesses. So she says that when it came to this property, which I'm assuming is the hotel and the property that it's going to be built on, she says that, at first it was in my name and then it wasn't, you put it in your name. So the bottom line, I want to know whose name is it going to be under. She says, yes, you funded the money for this property, but I'm the one negotiating deals. I'm the one signing contracts. I'm the one that's putting in the work to secure this piece of property. So I think a part of this should also be mine. And so he ends up agreeing. Okay, he ends up agreeing that the property can be in both of their names. He's like, whatever it takes, Madeline, to get you back. I'll do whatever it takes. Now, Luke, you better stick to that. If you're telling her that her name can be on this and you'll do whatever it takes, you better stick to that and don't go back on your word because she's going to come back and cut you with her talons. So Luke then begins. Okay, so Then he goes back to begging and pleading. He wants her back. And then all it took was for Luke to wipe a non existent tear. And then all of a sudden, Madeline didn't exactly melt, but she reconsidered. Okay, she reconsidered, and said that, well, we're not back together officially because you need to prove with your actions that you're worthy for me to take you back. And she says that we're going to go through like a trial period, and I'm gonna be the one to determine whether or not we can never get back together again. But there's going to be no sex during this trial run, and I'm going to need my space. Okay, so we're going to have to keep our distance, and you're going to have to basically grovel and do whatever I tell you, until I decide that you're good enough for me to take back. After that, they're like in a marketplace or something. Luke goes for a spiritual cleansing of his penis, and then Madeline said that it didn't work. Moving on. And that's that. That's my little review. Thank you so much, y'all. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please do not forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.